Today on the radio show, Santa Claus talks with Nicholas, Timothy, and Douglas. We talk about Christmas times.
Welcome to Podcast Them Down. I'm Tim Regan from American power metal band Burning Shadows. Fade to Black Metallica tribute. Recently vacated graves through zombie metal and Dual-Violin folk metal band ISENMOR. And with us today is Santa H. Claus and Doug.
Hello.
And I don't even know what we're talking about. And
Timothy,
I crudely faded out the music myself. So,
Timothy, I'm very disappointed that in your introduction to your radio program, that you don't talk about all the fun death metal Christmas albums that you and I have been doing for many years.
All right, hang on.
Okay.
You can check out It's a Death Metal Xmas, the greatest Xmas metal band there is, on Spotify. And if you actually want to support anyone, then get it on Bandcamp or you're an asshole. Mm-hmm. So there you go. It's just search for Death Metal Xmas with an X.
No. Getting things on Bandcamp makes you not naughty, and that's pretty good. In Santa Claus's book.
Yep.
Yep.
So, yeah, I suppose this would be the episode to bring up It's a Death Metal Xmas. Doug moved.
Oh, now he's in Shell Beach. He keeps moving different locations. It's like he has some Santa magic himself.
The way it's cropped on the stream, it looks like it says 11 Beach.
Oh, that looks like someone's finger or something else. I better change backgrounds.
Yeah, the phallus is cut out.
Doug, we can't see the penis in the picture.
Pretty naughty, Timothy. If you ask Santa. He changed again. Now he's in some kind of diner or flight club.
I'm in the SS Savannah, which we need to get a tour of.
Ooh.
Is that what you want for Christmas, Doug?
Yes.
Santa can arrange that. You can have 2 tickets to the SS Savannah on your Christmas list.
All right, let me interrupt with a shameless plug. So it's a Death Metal Xmas.bandcamp.com has tons of it has all your death metal Christmas needs. It's got albums, it's got stories and adventures with Santa and me. And if you don't like that, it also has instrumental versions. Oh, and I forgot I did the entire Nutcracker suite. So that's on there too. So
there's so many good Santa adventures. And then in between those, there's some groovy Christmas tunes. So everyone should go and listen to Santa's album that Timothy helped with, and support the shows.
Well, yeah, I should have followed up on this years ago, but when you guys did the Die Hard album, did you put in the Pacific Bell joke?
I just remember shooting someone in the thingy, Timothy.
That was It's a Death Metal Xmas 9. Santa Hard is what we called that. And that one is not available on Bandcamp or anywhere else because of various legal issues.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that maybe one day future musicologists might uncover. Clutched in the hands of a skeleton, holding a old iPod with a bunch of groovy tunes on it. But right now, all the naughty boys and girls in lawyer land are preventing some of the greatest moments of Christmas cheer from coming to your ears. Yep.
Oh, I forgot something. Here we go. This is for the YouTube and the stream. No.
Oh, hey, he's wearing one of my hats, Douglas. It's like the kind of hat I wear, but kind of phallically long.
Yes, it's. I noticed my hat is much longer than your hat.
Because Santa's not compensating for anything. Santa's just, hanging out. I'm wearing my groovy daytime hat because it's daytime here in the North Pole, or nighttime. I'm not really
Isn't it
sure
nighttime?
because we can just walk around. Well, I mean, I guess if you include light, it's pretty dark all the time, but I can just walk from time zone to time zone. If I want it to be 4 p.m., I just truck my little Santa self around, and it's 4 p.m. It takes like 14 minutes.
So you're at the geographic North Pole. You're not at the magnetic North Pole.
No, the magnetic North Pole is a piece of bullshit garbage, Timothy. I mean, who's ever seen a magnet go anywhere else? It's like there's a real top of the world where everything else is down, and that's the North Pole where Santa Claus lives. And magnets can go fuck themselves.
So, Santa, Kent Allard, am known for asking blunt questions.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, why are you in bed with Norad?
Well, see.
Yes, that is a good question.
That's a good and fair question, Kent. And so the answer is, several hundred years ago, there were many fewer people in the world, and much more of them were naughty. So Santa Claus had a pretty easy job. But as the world's population increased to several billion, Santa Claus couldn't tally everything on his own, so some nice boys and occasionally girls, but mostly boys from Canada and America's United States came together and said, Santa, we've noticed you have a pretty great surveillance operation going on here, and if you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. And Santa Claus said, what a nice idea. So you give me some cookies, and I'll let you put up some HARP antennas and satellite dishes and hypersonic whatchamajiggers. And we just worked out a deal. So now Santa Claus knows where everybody is at any given time. And if they're being naughty or nice, and in return, some nice gentlemen come pick up some data tapes every like 4 hours. And it's like copacetic.
All right. Did you bid it out or?
No, I just basically said, what do you need? Because Santa can provide, because he basically has like a population of slaves, Kent. Where's an elf gonna go? Who's an elf gonna work for? Elrond? That motherfucker is a piece of shit.
So,
Mm-hmm.
So what exactly do you track the location of everyone and their general demeanor?
Yeah, so their location, whether they're sleeping or awake. As many of you know, my system's not perfect. So if you're sleeping, I have an exact fix on your location. But if you're awake, I just have a general vague sense of where you are. It's a flaw in the system, and I keep telling them, like, maybe we should refine the granularity, but they say, Santa, this is complicated. Do you know how satellites work? And I say, no, I know how reindeer work, and that's they fly up in the air and then occasionally come down. But apparently that's not really relevant to the conversation, and then they get mad at Santa and say, this is not the fucking problem. And then Santa says, look here, Mr. General, I don't care what your problems are. I care about your results. What was the question again, Timothy?
Isn't all that information readily available from Facebook or Google or
the what?
I was going to say I'm a management consultant, and the private sector surveillance has really matured, and I think you should get into that space.
Well, I mean, the nice boys and occasionally girl who come from the NORAD high command, every once in a while they'll say something about uh, cyber infrastructure, and Santa's like, brr, 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 brr. I'm not worried about little kittens, floating across my screen. I'm worried about naughty boys and girls, whether they're 1 or 100. Because after you're 100, Santa doesn't give you presents anymore. So, off yourself at 99 if you love presents.
So, but aren't you worried about becoming obsolete?
Oh, what do you mean obsolete, Timothy? I mean, everybody loves Santa Claus. There's not like a war on Christmas or anything going on. Everyone's free to say Merry Christmas. No one ever feels guilty. And,
I don't know, Santa, you
Starbucks.
just sound a little complacent.
What do you mean? What do you mean complacent, Ken?
If Elon Musk thought there was money to be made, if he thought he could monetize your model, he'd be in that space in a second.
Well, first of all, I can tell you that Elon Musk is a very naughty boy. And he's so naughty, in fact, that he hasn't received any presents since he was like 3 years old. And second of all, I can tell you that like any public utility, Santa Claus does not run at a profit. As we've already mentioned, all my labor costs are basically zero, and all my surveillance activity is subsidized by a secret troika of governments, and that's Canada, the United States, and one that I'm not going to tell you, but you'd be really surprised, Timothy. They were very keenly interested in like 2004, and they said, Santa, we have lots of interest in the North Pole. And I said, oh, well, Santa has all these cool things that people gave him, and they gave me some nice, I think it's called Borst, and it is kind of funny, and it was red like me, Timothy. And I thought, okay, well, I'll just duplicate all the tapes I'm making for these guys and give them to you, and they come on Thursday, so you come on Friday, and it'll all be great. So really, it's not a profit-making enterprise, Ken. It's just something Santa does for the good of the world, and possibly it's closely coming destruction.
Santa, how do you serve the residents of Taiwan?
Oh, well, you see, this is an interesting question. So it's sort of delicate because technically Santa Claus adheres to a one China policy. And according to that policy, Santa Claus can only deliver presents within the borders of the People's Republic. However, Santa Claus is a lot like the Olympic Committee. So there is a second person named Cantaslaus who wears a white suit with red trim, and he's allowed to deliver presents to what he calls Chinese Taipei. And so it's not like Santa Claus is giving them, but just a very similarly marked, almost Santa Claus, and it just works out that way. Of course, before 1979, the whole thing was flip-flopped.
Do you have other alter egos like Kris Kringle, Topo Gigio, Sinterklaas? Are they all you, or are they different people for legal reasons?
Oh, I mean, it really depends on who's asking. Like, are you some sort of regulatory authority, Timothy? Because then the answer is they're certainly different. But if we're just talking you and me, and we're turning off the podcast mics, I have 16 different aliases in the United States alone. Like, ever wonder why you don't see Wilford Brimley around anymore? It's not because of diabetes, I can tell you that.
That's actually a good segue. Let's talk about your health. You
all right?
You subsist primarily on milk and cookies, yes?
Well, during Christmas, yes. But most of the year, I eat a solid diet of reindeers and elves, and occasionally Mrs. Claus, if you catch my meaning.
Wait, you eat elves?
Well, not the living ones, Timothy, but as you can imagine, with someone with a very big workforce, a lot of them die, sometimes by accident and sometimes by old age. Because again, that motherfucker Elrond isn't hiring, so they just keep working till they collapse. And then No, it's the North goddamn pole, Timothy. That we can't grow corn, and I can't eat caribou, and I can't catch a
you
narwhal.
just said you ate reindeer. Why can't you
Right.
eat caribou?
Because they're totally different. A reindeer is a majestic, flying, deer-like creature, and a caribou is a very nasty and wrong, and tastes kind of fishy. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, like most of the time, if an elf dies, I'll say gather round everybody, and we like take turns. Like
Wait,
you get the
wait,
eyes,
wait,
and I'll
wait.
get the feet.
Who is everybody? The other elves?
Yeah, you got to keep them strong. They got to work, Timothy.
You are they happy to be cannibalizing?
Well, no, they're really sad, but I'm like, look, we have a big operation here, and stopping to feed you would take up a lot of time. And what's stronger and more powerful than an elf? So if you eat each other, then you'll get strong. And it's a good incentive to keep working. Because if you're slowing down, it might be supper time, Timothy.
How do you prepare an elf?
Well, you're like, okay, so just so you know, like we have a policy here that if you die, you get eaten. And I know it's not nice, but
No, I mean, how do you cook it? Or do you cook it?
oh, well, the good thing about the North Pole, Timothy, is that it's a magical place. So for example, if any elf or Santa or Mrs. Claus were ever hungry, we could just conjure up a meal of magical sustenance that would sustain us infinitely throughout all of time. So what we do is we use that magic to make like a microwave thing, and we just microwave the elf and imagine like some side dishes, like Santa likes parsnips. So we just microwave the elf and imagine up some parsnips, maybe some pork gravy. We slathered on the little guy. And usually he's giving us a lot of back talk, like, wait, Santa, I'm not dead, and you have to kick him a little bit, and then you just chow down. It's really quite an amazing experience.
So, Santa, do elves have souls?
Well, it's kind of an interesting question, Doug, and I would say definitively yes.
Kent. Yeah.
Oh, Kent, yeah, sorry, Santa Claus is not perfect. Kent, yes, they do. Unfortunately, because of Santa's magic and the interference of the radiometric waves, when an elf dies, its soul gets reborn inside a reindeer. And that's how they can fly.
So there's a natural recycling process.
Mm-hmm. And then when a reindeer dies, it becomes a caribou. And then when a caribou dies, it becomes a narwhal. And like 6 steps later, a little baby elf is born. It's a beautiful cycle of life.
Are there more than the 9 reindeer?
I mean, there's the 9 official reindeer, and then there's a lot in training, because
Can you name the 9, please?
Okay, well, there's Melinda is one of them, and Donald and
Grumpy
Fisher
and
no, those are the dwarves, Ken. There's a difference. There's Kriegen Blitzen and Blitzen Kriegen. Donner, that's one of them. Yeah, Donner's one of them, and Mac, Joe, Comrade, Vixert, and yeah, that's all 9.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How many do you have in training?
Well, every one reindeer has 3 backups, and each backup has 3 backups of that. So that's like 9 times 3 times 3, which I believe is
70.
Like 50-ish. So there's a lot of reindeers. And, because we have this cannibalistic binge of elves every so often, more keep popping up.
So, Santa, your business cycle, does it keep pace with the population, or
81.
is there variability in naughty and nice year over year that you got to plan for? And
Well,
can
you
you
know-
plan for it? How do you scale?
Can you project
Mhm.
niceness so you can adjust your production accordingly?
Well, yes and no. I mean, sometimes, for example, you can see the general trend of niceness and naughtiness. And I can tell you that it's been a pretty good couple of years for naughty. But then, we have lots of production shortages, like a lot of Santa's activities where, if I can use a bad word, Timothy, they were really fouled up. Ho ho, because of the Suez Canal thing the other year. But anyway, like, people's naughtiness and niceness really varies. So we can make a prediction based on previous events. But we also have what I like to call the non-Santa people cop-out. So non-Santa people, they can be as nice or as naughty as they want. And if Santa gives them something, that's amazing. That's a miracle. But if Santa doesn't give them anything, like, they won't really know. So as long as the ratio of nice Santa people versus non-Santa people remains fairly constant, I can adjust and make sure that, sometimes some nice people get missed out, but that's okay, because on the average, the people expecting something will get it, and the people not expecting something won't miss it if they don't get it. And I would like, I'm just a tree spirit here. I would like to give everyone in the world a present, but there's a bottom line and a top line, and the middle line is Santa Claus.
Yeah, so Santa, I'm thinking here, and so if we go back to 2019. Well, I guess what year? What's your year? Calendar year?
I mean, I do now. Back when it was the old tree spirit days, I just counted with rings. I would say this is ring 898. But now we use the human, Georgian calendar, because that's what people expect. Because, it's very hard to place orders for like ring 7,842 when the Sony people are like, it's 2021, Santa, what are you talking about? So we have to like make business case adjustments based on our suppliers.
Wait. In the old days, didn't the elves make all the toys?
They did. In the good old days.
Dude, now you're just buying them from Sony?
Of course. Well, you don't think an elf can make a PlayStation, Timothy. It's good at woodworking and using its little hands. But now those little hands are typing on eBay and Amazon.coms and trying to make warehouse purchase orders. It's really quite complicated, and a lot of the elves are now nearsighted and are dying because of stress. And I can say it's been really rough to be an elf these days, but I've also been saying that we're eating good.
So when you need to fax your purchase order to Sony, what kind of lead time do they ask for?
Oh, I mean, it really depends on what you're asking. I mean, if you're asking for like PlayStations, that's a good like 6-7 months out. So I would say if you're not being good by, let's say, May, you're pretty much fucked. But at the same time, there's lots of closeouts, lots of last minute deals that Santa can take advantage of. Santa's a buyer of last resort. So, for example, all the Amazon returns end up going to Santa. And, I don't want to sound crass, Timothy. I don't want to sound like I'm a bad guy, but it's just a natural fact that rich people are nicer than poor people. And Santa just tends to give nice poor people shittier gifts. And so who wouldn't like a slightly used Amazon return?
How are rich people nicer than poor people?
Well, first of all, and probably most importantly, rich people have better cookies at their houses and finer kinds of milk. Santa Claus is a connoisseur. He eats literally billions of cookies just on one night of Christmas-ween. So on that night, Santa Claus really likes like rich imported macadamia cookies, not fucking regular ass crispy Chips Ahoy's. So, if you give Santa good shit, Santa will remember you last year or the year before. What whatever that is that comes after the first one.
Well, Santa, it sounds like you carry a lot of overhead throughout the year.
Mm-hmm. I got a hat and some hair.
But how do you keep such a massive workforce productive when it sounds like you don't really have to spin things up?
Well, I mean, we do have lots of employee benefits. Like, for example, if you don't like your boss, because there's lots of like middle management levels, you can say, hey, let's say you're like a workaday elf like Scroogut, and you're Scroogut the elf, and you say, hey, Santa, my boss is Scrumpy, and he's a real dick. And on top of that, I think he's looking kind of delicious. And then the next thing you know, old Scrumpy's gone, and we're having an elf feast. And then people are really motivated. We have a little box that I call the kill box, but it's really the suggestion box. And elves are free to write the names of people who are slacking off or talking back or otherwise being unfriendly to Santa. And you just write a name in there. And if your name gets pulled out, well, I guess you should have been more productive, Timothy, because here comes that microwave thing and the turnips.
Santa, a lot of people in Baltimore really like that Toyland parade you used to do into the 50s.
Yeah.
Why'd you stop?
Well, I didn't want to stop myself, Kent, but the reason that I stopped was it just became unfeasible to be so many different places. Every mom and pop town in America was asking Santa to appear at a liquor store opening, or, a new Ames is opening up. Could Santa stop by? And I just had a carte blanche thing. Unless you're like a top tier city, like a New York City, Santa Claus just can't make it. And I wish Baltimore made that cut, but maybe that's on them, Ken. Maybe they should have worked harder to be a bigger, more important city, and Santa would still be there. Mm-hmm.
All right. Can I wait? Can I redo some names and you can tell me if they're naughty or nice?
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna have to look at the list. Okay, see, Santa has a smart telephone now because the list is all digitalized.
Oh, I was assuming it was something more romantic, like a giant Rolodex.
Oh, that's over there. It's way far out of the shot of the command center.
All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Steve Whiteman.
Steve Whiteman. Steve, how do you spell the Whiteman part?
Exactly as it sounds.
Is that like 2 upside down Christmas trees?
Yes.
All right. I've got that he's mostly naughty, but maybe just nice enough.
All right. How about Phil Anselmo?
Phil Anselmo. Is he Philip?
Probably.
All right. Well, Philip Anselmo is very nice indeed. And in fact, he's the nicest Anselmo.
All right, Steve Souza.
Steve Souza. Is he the guy who made all those fun marches, Timothy?
No, different Souza.
Okay, Steve Souza, naughty. So naughty. If you could see the list of things he did, Timothy.
Oh, I'm looking at the list of things. I'm on Blabbermouth.
Blabbermouth?
All right, Axl Rose.
Axl Rose is surprisingly nice. And a lot of people think he's naughty, but those are people who just don't know him very well. Everybody needs some time on their own. And that's what he got. A lot.
All right, Dave Mustaine.
Dave Mustaine is a piece of garbage, and the only thing he deserves is some coal in the shape of a Jesus face fish, and then he can go making horrible albums And the only good thing he ever did were those cool shoes, Timothy.
How about those cool shoes? How about Ozzy?
Ozzy Osbourne.
That's the one.
Well,
If you're looking him up, I think his real name is John.
Oh, John Osborne. Okay, well, he goes naughty, naughty, nice. Nice, naughty, nice, 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 naughty. But he's also the nicest Osborne. So I have to take that into account because there's like his son, Joseph, something like that. And his daughter, Kellethy. And his
Wasn't there another one who wasn't on the show?
Yeah, there's that one. She's pretty nice too, but not as nice as John Osborne. He's the nicest of the group, but they're not very nice at all.
All right, who's nicer, Paul Stanley or Gene Simmons?
Gene Simmons is not a nice man. In fact, he once, said, Santa Claus, I have a great music for you to play. And then I said, okay, what is it? And then he gave me that, like, I'm in love with loving you baby song on compact disc. And I said, Gene, that's not a good song at all. What the hell are you doing? And then that's why Santa banned him from all Christmases and Christmas, for that matter.
What about John Schaefer?
Ooh.
Well, that's an interesting guy. So he started out like this, and then he went one direction. But now I think there's going to be an amazing comeback. Maybe some people around the office have been talking and said a lot of things happened that the real truth hasn't been told. So maybe, just maybe, what seems naughty wasn't so naughty after all. I'm not saying that, but that's what people around the Santa town are saying.
How about Dave Ellefson?
Dave Ellefson? Ellefson. It sounds like a kind of elf name. Oh wait, I need to look on my Santa phone. LF son. Yeah, he's okay. He's gonna get like one present, maybe.
All right, what about us two?
You and Kent Allard.
Sure.
Well, Kent Allard is a straight shooter, and I think Kent's going to get something he really wants, like a new ledger book or maybe some Stad pencils, the kind without erasers, because Kent Allard doesn't make mistakes. It's pretty cool, a nice drafting set. And Timothy, you're pretty good. You're pretty good to Santa. You're always there in a jam. And, you're also a Christmas present yourself, ho ho. So I think that's going to mean that you're going to get most of what you want. But by that, I mean your kids are going to get some stuff and you're going to be stuck like with one stupid Raspberry Pi machine. And then Mike's going to make a dumb joke and everyone's going to get mad.
Well, at least I have that to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's enough of the naughty nice list. Unless you have some more.
Nope. I mean, there's so many people I could just keep going on. Like, you ever wonder about Condoleezza Rice?
Sure. I mean, no, but go ahead.
She's pretty nice. I don't have much more to say about that. She's just like on a page I was looking at.
What about Louis C.K.?
Louis C.K.? Well, first of all, I don't refer to him by their stage names, so I have to call him Louis Glee. But anyway, he's a pretty naughty guy, Kent. In fact, one day he was over at Santa's house, and I said, "Hey, Louis, I like your show on FX." And he said, "Do you, Santa?" And then he did something incredibly naughty, Timothy. And the elves were scandalized, and Mrs. Claus is crying. And Santa was a little intrigued, but also a little disgusted. And I didn't know how to feel. Anyway, he's not getting presents anymore.
Do I want to ask about Dave Chappelle?
No, and you probably shouldn't. Because that's a hot potato. No one wants to touch that with a 10-foot Santa pole. I just want to say that he made a lot of points that a lot of people feel bad about, and Santa Claus feels your pain. And if you want to write on the old elf list some names of people who deserve, the old Santa treatment, just let him know. He also made a lot of money. And so maybe we shouldn't feel bad for a guy who's a literal millionaire.
If I may change the subject.
Please do, Timothy. Santa's going to get in trouble.
How do you feel about your depictions in film? Tim Allen playing Santa Claus was sort of that one movie with the department store Santa who wasn't really department store Santa.
The one made by the Superman people.
Yep. All right. So, is that the one with Comet, the reindeer? Is that the one you're talking about? 'Cause that was pretty creepy.
Santa Claus the movie, if I recall.
There's so many depictions of me in media that often Santa Claus gets a little confused. So I would say that the original 1954 Miracle on 34th Street actually hit the nail pretty much on the head. But one little factor was different the time it happened to me and how they depicted in the movie. So if you remember, there's the scene where the woman gets really drunk and says, we'd love to have Santa Claus over for dinner. I think it would be simply charming. Well, that lady was not drunk at all, but Santa Claus was really drunk. And most of that was just a boast and a bet I made with the Easter Bunny that I could trick that poor, lonely, work-hard lady, to believe that she should move in with that jerk and live in that house. And, they couldn't afford that house, Timothy. It was all the way out in the suburbs, and they worked in Manhattan. Like, how are you going to go out there? Tim Allen's pretty funny. Ed Asner can go to hell. I thought he was quite disrespectful of Santa Claus. I don't know who was the Santa Claus and Fred Claus, but that wasn't very fun. I tend to prefer the animated Santas. The Nightmare Before Christmas or Halloween or whatever that one is. That was pretty good. That was a pretty good depiction of old SHC.
Do they still have to pay you straight up for impersonation rights, or is it all just consulting fees these days?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like sometimes if they're nice, they come up to the North Pole. I give them a tour. I let them see what Santa does on a daily basis, and after that, I say maybe you shouldn't put that in a movie. But Santa Claus is a public figure, so you can't really legally prevent someone from betraying you. And I'm much too busy to worry about all the naughty and nice boys and girls to really go about suing people. And I live in the North Pole, so I'm not even sure what jurisdiction I could sue them from. Like Norway? Norway's not going to help. They have horrible IP rights, Kent. I don't know. I just say, if you want to be Santa, be Santa. Like all those assholes who pretend to be Santa in malls and Walmarts and Bass Pro Shops. Like those are unauthorized imitators. They can't get any word from me because, again, I have a network of satellites and all these NORAD things that tell me what you do. So if you go to those people, they're just wasting your time. And that's so angry, I'm phasing in and out of human reality.
Yeah, how does that work?
Well, because I'm a tree spirit, Timothy, and your limited human technologies can't capture me fully. Like watch this. Woo! I'm a spirit. I'm a spirit. I'm not real. I'm not even here. I exist in the hearts of boys and girls and in a swirling tempest at the middle of the North Pole.
Fully in the web.
So, according to the Wikipedia page on you, the Irish are known to leave out a pint of Guinness for you. How do
And
you,
if you
is
know-
that true, and how do you feel about that?
It is true, and I feel great about it. But if you know anything about Irish history, it often leads to some mistakes when I'm around old Ireland. Like, I appreciate it, but maybe if they gave something more straightforward, like milk or cookies, maybe they would be getting more presents these days.
All right, another unrelated question. So, Coca-Cola is the reason you wear red all the time. Is this true?
No, but it is a convenient tie-in. Like, I don't think I could legally say that I wear red and white because those are the colors of delicious Coca-Cola, but I can say that they're the best colors of the best soda.
Do they
You know,
do they pay you annually to say this, or?
I don't think anyone pays me. This is just something I feel in the bottom of my heart. This is sincerely held belief that Santa has, and there's no there's no monetary transaction whatsoever. And if you ever try and end run around Santa with his goddamn polar bears again, you'll know what's coming for you, Coke people. Doesn't even snow in Atlanta, you assholes.
So when you're in the middle of the ongoing brand integration, like with the Coca-Cola company, do you loan them your material, or is all that stuff they have to make or procure themselves?
Well, I mean, it's sort of a lend-lease thing. Like, I send them some packages, some portfolios. I usually send an elf or two, just to oversee the operations from on site there. But I also give them a little creative license because it helps preserve the Santa mystique. I think a lot of times, especially these days, people oversaturate with their brand and want to put it on everything and want to just throw it in your face. But actually, Santa Claus knows, because he's been in this game for a lot longer than you have, Elon Musk. He knows that you just kind of give people a little taste and then they'll be hungry for more. Is that Santa? I don't know. Was he up on the rooftop? Click, click, click. Could be, but who knows? You got to tease them. You got to give them just a little bit, and then they'll have enough rope to hang themselves, if you know what Santa means.
So what do you do at houses that don't have chimneys? If a house, you're known for coming down the chimney. If a house does not have a chimney, which I believe is more frequent these days, what do you do?
So this is a big problem starting in the late 60s when a lot of new houses were being built without chimneys. So the first year we just tried walking in through the door. But that didn't help so much because, lots of parents saw Santa walking in, and occasionally a jilted lover would be walking out while Santa was trying to get in. I'd say, "Good God, man, it's Christmas Eve. What are you doing?" And he's like, "Christmas Eve means Christmas needs, Santa." And I would say, "Ho, ho, I know what you're doing there." But anyway, it led to a whole bunch of mix-ups. So these days, what I do is I just slide through some kind of ventilation dent, vents or even like a crack in the window, because Santa has the ability to make himself less than 1 micrometer thin. So I just kind of slide in like a sheet and then pop back out. It's pretty impressive.
So you're like that guy from that X-Files episode.
Yes. Yes, in fact, I am.
Do you like, no, how do you feel about being compared to Odin? Some people say you are Odin.
I mean, some people say I'm Odin, but some people are wrong. So, for example, can Odin do this? Blink, 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 blink. I'm blinking both eyes, Timothy, so fuck him. Odin's a nice guy, but he kind of stinks. And as we all know, he has like a raven on his chest. Santa used to drink with that guy, but he's really depressing. He's always like, "Oh, I hate my kids. They're always causing trouble and frost giants." I'm like, "Look here, asshole. You got to learn to give back. People aren't going to love you unless you bribe them once a year at minimum. So listen to me and the old Easter Bunny. If you want to be, preserved and worshipped in this new age, you gotta do things that didn't work in the old days. And that's why Santa Claus is still around and Odin's on the ash heap of, all the defunct deities that no one believes in anymore, Timothy.
What about
what year did you get on the Jesus camp, Santa?
Oh, well, that was actually a pretty shrewd move on old Santa Claus's part, right? So as you might know, I'm a tree spirit.
this?
And
This
Santa
actually
Claus.
ties in with my question. Explain Saint Nicholas. All right. Go
Okay,
ahead.
well, we'll get there. We'll get there. So, the first thing that Santa noticed is that there were a bunch of tree-related imagery by these new people with the Christajiggers. And they were like, oh, like, look at this tree, and we're putting up little trees everywhere. I was like, well, that's pretty Santa-like. So I just sort of said, there's got to be a way that Santa Claus can get attached with that. So, yeah, it took a couple of 100 years and some convincing, but eventually Santa Claus was in. And one of the ways that I did it, to go back to your other question, is there was this guy who was a really nice guy. He lived in Cappadocia, I believe. And his name was Nicholas. And he liked giving people gifts and presents. And so before that, Santa Claus got most of his sustenance from sacrifice, like people being tied up at the bottom of the tree and being burned alive. And then I would eat their essence, a lot like I do with elves. So anyway, he was giving people gifts. And when this nice bishopy guy was giving people gifts, I was like, holy shit, he's consuming their essences just on like goodness and kindness. So then I tried that and I took him and I wrung his neck and threw him in a dumpster. And then the next thing you know, I stole his clothes and his gimmick. And there it was. And that was basically the birth of Christmas.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I think Doug's trying to talk, but no one can hear him.
I can hear him, Timothy.
What is he saying?
Well, I think that is a good point, Kent. And Santa is very handsome.
No, I was going to ask about old Black Pete.
Woohoo! I don't think I hang out with him anymore, Kent. I think that was like an older time and an older gimmick, and now it's just always been Santa and Mrs. Claus and occasional elves, and nobody else ever.
I've seen pictures, I think, to the contrary.
Well, Kent, there's a thing called the Mandela effect, where lots of people think they saw things, but they didn't really. It's just like a misremembrance of their mind, and you should stop talking about Black Peter and taking people in bags and being sent to Spain and all that stuff. It never happened. It was just always Santa Claus and goodness.
Why Spain, though?
No reason. I mean, not because it's a Catholic country or anything like that. I mean, that's not even a thing that happened. So how would Santa know?
Well, Santa, on an unrelated note, in your yearly travels, what are your favorite parts to visit in Spain?
Well, I like Barcelona. It's pretty nice. There's this great band I was hearing about that were from there. I think they're called Invasion, and they were pretty great. I was reading a press release about them the other day. Madrid is very cool. I'm not a big fan of the Catalan issue. Like, I think a yellow and red stripy flag is a little too much. But I believe that all people have self-determination. If they want to be a new Santa-loving country, then you gotta let them. But I'm not advocating that. I'm politically neutral on most things except for Santa-related legislation, like, Christmas tree taxes and eggnog production. But Spain is a beautiful place, and I'd love to go there in April and May and June.
Do you have any favorite vacation spots?
Well, Bora Bora is really nice. Lake Como, if you've never been there, you're not living. Actually, sometimes I like to go to blighted American cities like Baltimore or Cleveland, just to get an appreciation of like what life would be like if there was no Santa Claus in the world. It really makes me feel important, like I'm doing a good job, because if it wasn't for me, everywhere would be like these shitholes,
So,
Did you ever bring, I know this is in the past, but did you and Black Pete ever go to Gary, Indiana together?
Well, I don't know who you're talking about, but maybe if I did, I would say we did. And we had a good old time. And actually, a lot of people trash it, but it's a good place. Ken, you should give places a chance. You shouldn't listen to other people, even tree spirits like Santa Claus. You should make up your own mind. If a place is cool, you should like it. If a place isn't cool, then you should leave it alone and not trash it, or say horrible things about it just to get a laugh.
Surely you don't like Dayton.
I love Dayton, I started out dating Mrs. Claus, and now, we have dinner almost every night.
All right, so before we go, is there anything we should look forward to for Christmas 2021?
Well, I can say everyone really enjoy this Christmas because I have my Santa powers, and I don't want to tip my hand, but let's say there's like 3 Christmases left ever. So maybe, just have a fun time now and, count your chickens before they hatch.
Do you have any surprises for us this year in the Metaverse?
Well, no, that's gonna go back to what it was next year because it's a horrible idea. No, Santa Claus needs people to be ignorant of the future because otherwise it leads to all kinds of perverse incentives to be naughty or nice. And, that kind of upsets the whole apple cart. So let's just say that there's going to be an infinite number of Christmases and you have an infinite number, certainly more than 3, of opportunities to be good from this Christmas forward. And so, everyone do their very best, like really soon. And maybe the better you are, like maybe there'll be 1 or 2 more in that infinite, unending list that is certainly not coming to an end very soon.
Well, Santa, what's your service level agreement like in Second Life, or is that is the Santa experience just an IRL thing?
No, that was a big mistake of Santa Claus. Back in 2004. These elves were saying, Santa, Second Life is the way to go. So I actually bought an infinite membership. I pay billions of dollars a year just to maintain a presence on Second Life. And I couldn't really tell you why. I haven't been on there in years, but, I have a whole Santa land and, a Santa avatar, and each one of the elves and reindeer have Second Life little things. And a lot of them are raccoons for some reason. And so, yeah, you can come visit on Second Life. Like 6 of these panels back here are all devoted to running the Second Life. I don't really know how it works, but I thought it was a good idea.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Santa.
All right. I'll see everyone later. Be very nice and let's go, Santa. Oh.
Thanks for listening to Podcast Them Down. You can find Burning Shadows, ISENMOR, and recently vacated graves on Bandcamp, as well as Facebook, along with Fade to Black Metallica Tribute and Podcast Them Down itself. Until next time, keep it metal. For Christmas, I want the new intro outro we talked about. That's what
Okay, I'll see what I can do. Timothy.